Namaste. Very good. So we have people from Ukraine also. So our series is Hammer the Delusion. Whenever we have a stress, anxiety, duality, and a conflict, we hammer the delusion. We hammer the delusion how? By the intellect. And if the mind is ready, then it goes in directly into the mind. You are in anxiety, and the anxiety is gone. You have a stress, and the stress is gone. That is why the entire Eastern wisdom says what the entire Eastern wisdom says. Tamaso ma jyotirgame. It says remove the ignorance. The leaders, it says leaders from ignorance to wisdom. That is why it is that. But it is only for the seeker of the higher order. If you are a seeker, if you are mindful, and then this poem will definitely inspire you and change your behavior and attitude. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Murhamate, Samprapte Sannahite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrunna Karne. Appointed time of death. So the master is hammering us that death can come at any time. Why you are in stress and anxiety? Where? What is the cause? Why don't you recall, remember that we are of the nature of peace and happiness? That we don't remember. Why? Because of the ego, because of the identification with likes and dislikes in our daily life. We always receive some warning from Microsoft and sometime from the Google. Oh, the dangerous app is there. Do not click. Otherwise, your entire PC will be infected. Yeah. But the most dangerous app is our mind. Without clicking those links, who clicks those links? It is the mind. Mind gets attracted to it. Mind is not aware. Mind is not recognizing. This is what this is what the master is saying. Most dangerous app is our mind. And it has to be changed by the knowledge. Knowledge in the intellect, but the knowledge in the intellect will descend down into the mind only if we are a seeker. If we are not a seeker, it will not help. Then you will say, okay, he is a good motivational speaker. Motivation drops down. And that is why it is said consistent, regular study, understanding, applying these principles in our daily life will help us to awaken to our real self. Bhaj Govindam. Simple. I have given you a simple uh, translation. Bhaj Govindam. Remember, recall. You see, when you are in a stress, mind is lopsided. Mind is one-sided. It doesn't think except the stress. It does not recognize that I am of the nature of peace and happiness. And there comes the problem. And that is why Bhaj Govindam is a reminder just to recognize. Who can recognize? Who has studied, who has become a seeker? Only then we can remove this delusion. We have been understanding that delusion is a false belief or impression that is firmly maintained despite being contradicted by the reality or a rational argument. We know it. What is the reason? It arises from ignorance, lack of knowledge, insight, or wisdom. Just take an example. I am my thought. Is it real? Now the thought says you are crazy. I am my thought. See that? And this happens in daily life. This happens in our daily life activities. Or you can say, what is the thought? Oh, she is very attractive. Now, this is only a thought. And it goes into the mind. And the mind becomes lopsided. Then what happens? Think of this. So the master is saying it is due to the ignorance the delusion takes over. So, but why this thought takes over me? Because of the attachment and clinging. We cling to the delusional belief because they provide comfort. For some time, they provide the comfort to me, they provide the security, they provide the ego gratification. That is why I told you that we have to be a seeker. We should understand. It obscures. The delusion always obscures the true nature of the reality. My master used to say, whenever you are in anxiety, start contemplating and reflecting which thought associated with which feeling. Then explore the areas of attachment. And there and then drop this attachment. Don't fight with the thought. The moment you drop the attachment, the delusion is gone. I've been repeating again and again. When you are driving on the highway, you always see the highways moving, running behind you. You are carefree. Do you become carefree whenever these thoughts passes to your mind? In your relations, it does not. And that is the reason we suffer. Delusion comes and the delusion causes the suffering. So we have done the second also. Mood jahihi dhanagam trashnam kuru sadbuddhim manasi with trashnam bhaj govindam. So in the second verse, we use the bhaj govindam as a support system. That's an American phrase, I've also started mentally and emotionally becoming an American. So Bhaj Govindam, otherwise Bhaj Govindam is there. So let me have the support system. I have an anxiety, Bhaj Govindam is a support system. Let me remind it. So the moment you remind, you recover, you recognize the very delusion that is causing the anxiety, and you get rid of it. That is the meaning of living in mindfulness. Simply by intellectually saying, I'm living in mindfulness, I have a lot of stress. So living in mindfulness that you are living in stress. It will not work. And it has not been working. You already know it. So a child needs the support of a mother, students need support of a teacher, patient needs support of a doctor. To say the same thing, the mind needs the support of the right knowledge. We need a support. So if we need a support of the wealth to be happy, not possible. Food, not possible to be happy. My master used to say the support means that I am now ready to drop ego. When the ego takes over and it indicates a particular behavior and attitude at a particular moment, you simply drop it by saying Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govind. Otherwise, we will become a singer by singing Bhaj Govindam. Singer does not mean that. A singer may be singing a. I used to attend Seventh Day Adventist church. Perhaps people here might be aware of that. Huh? Krishna, are you aware of Seventh Day Adventist church? In New Jersey. There used to be just a beautiful singing, chorus singing. So singer may sing this Bhaj Govindam, but the singer doesn't change. His expertise is in singing. So here we are not only saying that you sing, but you go deeper. Support means that I'm now ready to drop that ego-created delusion and I become aware so that I live in the state of mindfulness. Hammer the delusion is our series. Why limitations? Why limitations? Delusion causes the limitation. So what is the delusion? The wealth will give me insecurity, will give me happiness, will give me satisfaction. So I need to examine it. Now, don't think that you need not to earn money. No, you guys are contributing. Gary and David are contributing to. So obviously, I'm also earning. But limitations, delusion that causes the limitation, and it puts a pressure on the mind that the wealth is the only way I should be happy. The recognition is the only way that I should be happy. Oh, let me see the social media. How many likes are there? That will make me happy. It will not. This is the part of the delusion. So from one delusion to another, and then we continue to have a problem of insecurity, unhappiness, and dissatisfaction. The master is saying that I should recognize the limitations of pleasure in relationship. It is not hammering, it does not want to remove that pleasure. How can we live our personal life, professional life, social life? You go to the restaurant and you say that you give me the pasta and I'm ready to experience happiness inside. No, you need not to say all those stuff. Otherwise, they will say you crazy. You go there wherever you like, minus the delusion. You talk to everyone. You talk to your honey, minus the delusion. You talk to your kids, minus the delusion. You're always happy. This is what the message is. I believe you all are getting it. You all are seekers in this journey. Think of this. So now see how the master makes us understand limitations of pleasure in relationship means what? Explain that in your mind. So I relate myself to an object, to a person, to a thing, to a situation. Look at this, Krishna did not congratulate me on my birthday. Oh, you be happy with yourself. It is your birthday. Every birthday, 1 year becomes less. We are approaching. Fact is this. Every birthday, we are approaching to, I don't want to say otherwise you'll feel bad about it. Limitations of pleasure in relationship means that the mind comes in contact with an object, with a person, with a thing, with a situation, with an event. Only as long as the contact is there, we have a pleasure. The moment your contact is removed, pleasure is gone. But during the pleasure, experiencing the pleasure, I forget my real self. Master says, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam. Pleasure is a projection of happiness in those events. Any event, you give me any event. Can you say that where you experience the true happiness? Now define true happiness. True happiness means it cannot be rejected, it cannot be taken, it cannot be given. Are you getting it? You cannot take the true happiness from anyone, and you cannot receive true happiness from anything. It is our nature. True means nature, natural, essence. No, I did not understand. Sweetness of a sugar. You put it into the water, the sugar does not taste saltous or sour. Wherever the sugar is there, it shows its sweetness. Hammer the delusion. So we hammer the delusion by understanding. So again, go limitations of the pleasure in relationship. We create a secondary self. You're eating pasta. Who gets the pleasure? My tongue, my body. It is the secondary self. So we explain that there is a real self, there is a false self, and then there is a secondary self. So it is the false self and the secondary self always receives the pleasure because of the attachment, because of the clinging. So what is the false self first? Real self we have already understood. What is the false self? False self that I am the body. So when I am the body, I have done the shave and everything. And if you don't appreciate me, I feel bad. I stood before the mirror for an hour and I'm meeting you and you are not appreciating me. It is the secondary self. No, it is the false self. When I am the body, I am the secondary self, false self. And now I am smart. That is the secondary self. First, I am the body, then I am the honey. That is the secondary self. You see the process of delusion. That is how it works. Can you relate the amount of the wealth that you own to the body? No. So it is a false self, delusion. And then I say I am rich, or even I am poor. It causes the frustration. Just think of it. I'm not saying believe it, follow it. Limitations of pleasure in relationship does not mean that I'm saying relationship between one human with the other. Relationship with any object, the contact with any object in the world outside. Let me have the contact minus the delusion. Otherwise, we get frenzy, obsessed, infatuated. I'm using different words, with reference to the different objects we come in contact. Mind is modified. Mind means what modified? Mind changes its behavior and attitude. How? By thinking. What is that thought that this pasta gives me the pleasure? For example, master goes little deeper into it. Just you need to think of it. I'm just giving an idea. I'm not going very deep, otherwise you will stop at any more section. But I'm just giving you a very brief idea, understand it. So to remove the delusion, you go to the origin. What is the original cause? Let me reverse and then help us, we will understand it. Can we eat clay or soil? Answer is big no. Now tell me anything that we eat, from where they come. They come from the soil. The origin is soil. Whether you say donuts, whether you eat pasta, whether you eat bread, the origin is the soil. To get rid of the delusion, I have to go to the original cause, contemplate and reflect. I cannot eat the soil, it contains a lot of bacteria, but I can eat bread. Is the bread a different manifestation of the soil? Bread or pasta or mutton or chicken, whatever we are eating. Think of this. So it is very clear, it does not mean that we should eat clay, but if I have gone to the origin, I say the origin of every food is the same. Why I cling to one thing to get a momentary pleasure, and that causes the delusion. And that is why we marry to be happy, because now you are a soulmate. And it is the same mind after a few months and years, the same guy, in the same situation, it becomes the soulmate. It is because of my delusion. So the master is saying to get rid of the delusion, I have to go to the origin. I have to see what is the ultimate cause. Why we have to see the ultimate cause? Cause and effect relationship is what the understanding is. That is what the knowledge is. That is what the science. That is how the science works. So I give blame to the secondary cause, to the false self, to the secondary self is the cause of all my insecurity, duality, conflict in my life. I've not yet repeated, I've not just spoken about the verse number 3, I'm just giving you the origin of it. Is the infatuation present in the mind or it is present in the body so that I get infatuated? We need to think. Can you be infatuated by protein, carbohydrate, and minerals? Body is made up of the same. Every body has no other element. So the master is saying that why don't you think in this way? Why don't you think in a right way? And look, that's infatuation or attraction caused by the attachment clearly. You see it clearly. No, I will lose all my pleasures in the world. It's better to lose all the pleasures in the world. Better. Why? Because the pleasure, after the pleasure, you have a pain. The mind swings like a pendulum. You have a pleasure of the pasta eating finish, and then it says, now I still do not experience that pleasure, which I experienced yesterday in a restaurant. So I will go back again. So again, there is an attachment. Again, you're swinging like a pendulum is cause of the delusion. Who is swinging the mind? What we should do, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Murdhamate. It will only happen if you are constantly, consistent, practicing in your head at any time. I'm not saying that you need to spend 5 or 6 hours every day. Wherever you are, Bhaja Govindam, remind yourself. Delusion to Bhaj Govindam. If the delusion is not there, you are living in a state of mindfulness. You enter into the wisdom. So be very clear about it. Master is not saying that I should drop everything and go to Himalayas, become Buddha. No, you cannot become Buddha. No one can become Buddha. There is only one Buddha. There is only one you. We all are unique. So if we try to become something, we again go back into the another kind of a delusion. We have to remove the delusion. So if I say in an American way, I can use the word that you enjoy all the pleasures in moderation, if I use that word. But in moderation with Bhaj Govinda, moderation with awareness. You are very clear. The moment you know the moderation, you are clear, pleasure is not there. Enjoy it, but don't cling to them. You're driving your car, the highway is running behind you. You don't cling to that running highway. So the delusion is gone. So you keep on driving. You are safe and secure. Mirage water I gave you. Infatuation, attachment, strong likes and dislikes. One more point, the three more points, and then we will go for the practice. Another way to understand this, the entire poem makes us understand where are those moments of the delusion, how this mind causes this delusion in our daily life, and how to get rid of it. How to get rid of is only one way. Bhaj Govindam Bhaj. Remember, recall that I am of the nature of peace and happiness. My mind, why you are looking this peace and happiness outside, why you are looking peace and happiness outside, that is causing the insecurity, dissatisfaction, and unhappiness. But simultaneously, it is supported by a consistent, regular practice. What is the key concept? I claim impermanent as permanent because the now mind is infected with the virus. Mind is infected with the virus of the delusion so that it claims impermanent as a permanent. That is the normal nature of any virus infected in the PC. And that is also happens in the body. And that is happening in the mind. Impermanence, all conditioned things are temporary, including our bodies and the sensory pleasures, beauty and the Nobody is in their 20s, I think, or sweet 16. They are more attracted to the bodily pleasure. But wait for another 20 years, what happens? I'm 65, so wait for now the gray hair. Another 20 years. So, do I have a clarity that I see the ultimate cause? I drop the conditioning, I drop the delusion. But it doesn't mean that you don't care yourself. Delusion, when you are caught up in a desire for seeking happiness outside. That is the second point. So, clinging and desire for seeking happiness outside, clinging and craving. Internally, you don't express it outside. But this is happening in the mind. You go to somebody's house, oh, how beautiful your house is. Mind starts comparing, it enters into a kind of craving. We cannot live in that moment. Think of it, my friends. Think of it. What is the thinking? You have to start thinking. We will go with the third verse in the following session. Close your eyes, my friends. Eyes are closed and eyes are closed. Because I'm laying a foundation for the third verse so that you won't feel bad, but you will feel good. Eyes are closed, one being comfortable and carefree, one. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. What it means? It means may there be happiness for all. Now, what you are seeking happiness for all. You have to find out the new meaning every time. Why? How? By contemplation and reflection. And answer another question of why? In order to remove the delusion from the mind, I need to contemplate and reflect. Whatever the thoughts and ideas I am presenting, you have to come up with a new ideas and new thought through your reflection that is going to change your mind. And that is why we share all our experiences. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. May there be peace for all. Do you still remember, my friends? That is what the Bhaj Govindam is. Do you remember the peace is the essential nature of every person, every being? So we have an outer layer of different name in the form, but deeper inside is one peace pulsating in everyone. Simply can I think and be aware? So what will happen? The friend, or maybe is someone is crazy before you, you don't become crazy. Why? Because you are studying the Eastern wisdom. But why? You do not become crazy because now you recognize the other guy becomes crazy. That is his way of discovering the peace, but your way is totally different. You see a perspective. I'm giving every time a new perspective to these mantras. Sarvesham, Sarvesham, Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham, Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. May there be completeness in all. I am into delusion, or you can say I'm into anxiety, duality, conflict, stress only because of the delusion. What is the delusion? That I'm incomplete. No, but how it fits here? Because of sense of incompleteness, I fight with you. I'm angry over you. I get agitated. If I'm complete, so from where I got this revelation, my master used to say that the elephant continues to walk and the dogs continues to bark over them. Nothing happens to the elephant. Elephant knows I'm complete. They don't dare to attack me. But we feel we are attacked because of the clinging, because of the delusion. Sarvesham, Sarvesham, Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarvesham, Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarvesham, Mangalam Bhavatu. There is another meaning of this, Mangalam. May there be a prosperity for all. So when I'm expanding my mind, seeking the prosperity for all, I'm also getting rid of the delusion. You have to sit down few minutes every day and you have to give a new meaning to these mantras. Why? That is what the Bhaj Govindam is. Very good. Now looking deep inside the forehead. Okay. And in the space you are doing Om Shanti there gently and start breathing from the rib cage. From the rib cage, gentle. So you expand the ribs, inhalation, you contract the ribs, squeeze the ribs during exhalation. You have to also, I told you, perhaps you remember, you also recognize the changes, accept it, resistance, endure it. One day, definitely, it happens until we reach to a point where the mind does not have any resistance. It comes by regular practice, consistent, without break. The time comes that the mind has no power to resist what you are doing. What is the result? You already know it. Continue doing quick, short, gentle breathing into the rib cage with an experience of sensation, comfort, and steadiness, dropping the Om Shanti deep inside the forehead in the space. Means you are enjoying it. And when you are enjoying means what? You are rising in awareness. And rising in awareness means what? You are dropping the delusion. So it is not only the breathing part, it is your understanding also continues. Knowledge plus practice. I have been stressing it. That is the message of the entire East and West. Continue one day, obviously. And one day, when you're doing a regular practice, one day the mind will say, no, I cannot do it. It has a point of resistance because of the past impression and delusion. The other day, it continues to do it. It wants to do more. So we recognize the different states of the mind on a given day when we are doing the practice. And that will open the gateway to a higher consciousness. Please continue, my friends. Continue. And now stop it. Do you remember? Recognize the changes, accept the changes, recognize the resistance, but at the same time, bring your awareness on the breath. You pay attention to the flow of the breath. So we have kept our mind on one thing. If the flow of the breath through both the nostrils is uniform and the same, there is a synergy. Make it sure that your mind is living with it. You need not to worry about anything, even if there are other thoughts there in the mind. Remember this part. Oh, even if there are thoughts, yes. These thoughts are on the surface level. They are not disturbing when you have a synergy, uniform flow of the breath through both the nostrils. That recognition is required. Sometimes we are not aware that these thoughts have nothing to do with me, even if they are present. Because of the past habit of the clinging, the mind deluded. Looking deep inside the forehead, my friends, again. Continue with the Om Shanti and start doing the belly breathing. Little longer breath with both the nostrils. You expand your belly and you contract your belly with every breath. Pay attention. Body remain in the state of steadiness because we have to change the mind. So we have to see how the mind is doing its activities during the practice is more important than simply intellectualizing it. We maintain that steadiness in the body. We are aware that only the belly is moving out and in. We are doing the Om Shanti and we continue the breathing. We are also checking. We feel the new changes in the body, new experiences, we accept it. And at the same time, it's a very internal and subtler understanding. And that subtle understanding comes when you are doing the practice regularly, you are consistent. Our goal is to reach to that state, the highest state of the consciousness. Continue, my friends. One day your mind will say, today is, we are doing it for a longer period. It creates an imagination. You need not to think of it. You keep on doing it. When you keep on doing it, you need not to be concerned about how long we are doing it. It has no value. But yes, in the beginning, it has a value, and the teacher is taking care of that. Long in the hissing breath through both the nostrils into the belly. Resistance is there. You endure that resistance. First, the knowledge says, no, I will continue doing it. But if the knowledge is not there, endurance part is not there, then your mind will react. It will continue to move the body. It will go in another direction. Your breath rate will become different. It's a journey to an extraordinary awareness. It's not an easy thing to do. But yes, if it happens, you are open to a higher awareness. And stop it. Just you, when you stop, allow the breath to be normal. Pay attention to the breath on both the nostrils, the flow. And at the same time, you recognize the changes in experiences. You have already registered a memory whether there was any resistance or not. Simply registering that information. How it happens when you are continuously, when you are consistent in the practice. Otherwise, what will happen? You feel the resistance today, and your mind doesn't want, it refuses to do the practice for a week. Finished, you are gone. And now looking deep inside the forehead again, Om Shanti, drop it. Do you still remember Om Shanti, how to drop it? Om. You recognize the pause, Shanti, pause, Om, pause, Shanti. And now start breathing both from the belly and the rib cage. First, you inhale into the belly, continue into the ribs, exhale from the belly and from the rib cage. You will discover the free flow of the breath during exhalation. If both the nostrils have an equal flow, the breath is exhaled so easily. It doesn't take a time. But at the same time, your inhalation should also have an easy flow. Do not squeeze your nostrils. It is a part of the tantra, or you can say the kundalini, this breathing part with the mantra. Long, deep hissing. That hissing sound drops when you have an equal flow of the nostril. Oh, you didn't tell me before. Yes, everything happens by time, and stop it, do nothing. Awareness of the breath, register any, register all the experiences that you have, changes, and also any resistance that you endured successfully. So, what happens when you do it next time? You know how to endure that resistance, and with reference to the beautiful experiences you have it. That inspires you to do the practice regularly. It's not by my saying. Awareness of the flow of the breath. Move the mind deep inside the cave of your heart. Triangle. Visualize the triangle of any color, but shape is the same, equilateral, pointing upward. Move the mind from one side of the triangle, dropping Om Shanti in a clockwise, then anti-clockwise, then clockwise. Discover if the sink is there. You find a sink. Sink of what? I've been telling you, sinking of Om Shanti, moving the mind on the side of a triangle. It is an easy flow. The moment you find the sink, you can you just move the mind at the center of the triangle, singing mentally. You go deep as possible. Mind seemingly stops. You drop Shanti and discover. Now you're doing nothing. A kind of self absorption is there. Awareness with self absorption. I know I'm contradicting these two statements. I will explain it. Let the time come. Contradiction in terms of modern psychology. Self absorption is known as a forgetfulness. There. Self absorption in meditation is known as a higher state of the consciousness. Oh, we'll talk about it. You're in a state of doing nothing. That is the point. So that is also, but you're just sitting. That is also equal to a kind of Zen. We say the Zen meditation. We just talk about it a lot. But we have to understand what is behind it. And now, dropping Om Shanti on 16 segments of the four fingers of any hand, right or left, doesn't matter. You're not touching it with the mind's eye. Now you see that I've been stressing again. Mind's eye, mind's ear, mind's tongue is doing Shanti. Means the mind continues to remain inside. We can also do it, Om Shanti, casually, habitually, impulsively, and that is what nothing happens there. But here, because the senses are not allowed to go outside, so the mind does not recall any past impression, there is another level of self absorption we experience here. And that takes us to the higher consciousness. That is what I meant. Shanti. Sometime it doesn't matter that you complete all the 16 segments. You are analyzing, understanding the movement of the mind. The mind may say Om, and then it continues to maintain. You may feel the vibrations, sensations on that segment, and then it takes time to say Shanti. That is one aspect. At the same time, you are saying Om, and the mind forgets it. It falls into sleep. So we have to recognize that. So whether there is a mixture of experiences, you fall into unconsciousness or you rise into consciousness. I'll talk in detail about these steps as we go on changing the steps of the practice. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, 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 Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your awareness on the right hand, your awareness on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. We'll share our experiences. You are free to share your experiences. And also, if you have any question, how are you, David and Jerry?
We were, excuse me, having some internet issues there, so that's why I cut the video off. Um, uh, Loved the lesson. Really resonated in a lot of areas of um, my life right now, and I'm going to spend some time reflecting on that throughout the day and tomorrow. The practice was a jumbo for me because I've got a lot of things going on in my mind. But I was able to get to a deep spot during the japa.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And you see, the mind is inspired. Oh, let me contemplate and reflect. So when I start contemplating and reflecting, what happens? I start living into that higher awareness. I'm already living in a moment. That is required. That will help us to go a little higher. Beautiful. How are you, Jerry?
Sir, I'm good. Thank you. Yeah, completely absorbed. The mind really wants to see clearly all the time. And so whenever there's any kind of static or chaos, it just wants to try to get to the place where it's clear. And so, because with the knowledge, with the clear knowledge, you can always deal with whatever presents itself. But if there's not a clear knowledge, then you don't know what you're dealing with. You know.
You're right.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's a beautiful way to explain it. But my mind picked up one thing, that there should be a clarity. And my mind went back into what my master used to say. See that, I'm seeing all of you. Dear. But do I see, is there a simultaneous awareness of oneness plus all of you? It is possible. It is possible. Oneness is only, we all are essentially one. We are not one at the physical level, at the mental level, at the preferences of the likes and dislikes and the colors and the age. But behind that, there is only oneness. And that oneness can only be realized if I recognize and realize that I am consciousness. If I recognize that I am consciousness, I can have a simultaneous awareness. What is that word known as? I will tell you later, not today. So, how are you, Dennis?
I'm fine, Guruji. Thank you. um, for the talk, the thing that triggered my mind and got my attention is you said that your teacher told you that whenever you're in stress or in anxiety, you have to analyze, find the thought that is connected to that feeling, and then explore that thought and find the attachment that is associated with that thought, and drop the attachment, and then the thought drops at automatically. This is what uh, I have been thinking about and pondering and contemplating for the last like few months, and came to the same conclusion. And thank you for confirming this today, that my conclusion was right. For the meditation, it was deep. I was pretty much absorbed. The flow was equal, and the space was there at the end. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. You have to explain these to our friends behind you later. But one thing I want to stress, I like you, I love you, I am attached to you. Do you just use these phrases, you will see the entire world, everything outside stops. accept the person whom you love, that love is an attachment. That is an infatuation. So I'm not able to see the reality. Now see the other side. I am. No, you are responsible for my stress. You made me angry. To same, there is an exclusive attention on the delusion. And we are not able to make our mind free from that. Are you getting it? I don't know whether I'm able to make myself say things clearly. But the moment, what the Dennis is saying, the moment you start contemplating, what do you mean by contemplation? You have already separated that thought. Your thought says, I'm in anxiety. You have already separated. You have started contemplating, pondering over it. 50% of the problem is already gone. Why it is gone? Because the delusion is gone. Delusion has, now you're hammering the delusion. Hammering the delusion in your mind does not mean that you use the physical hammer and you hammer on the head. It's a recognition. It's an awareness. I believe you're getting it. How are you, Brandy? I'm so happy. You all become a center of your evolution. How are you, Brandy?
I'm good. Thank you. So I use the practice of labeling what was coming up in the mind during the meditation to help me kind of move past it. Just, like things like David, my mind was pretty busy today. And when something would present, I would be like, task, that's a task, right? And then once I had the label, I could detach from it, right? Like it was like, okay, well, that'll be something that you can do later. And it really seemed to calm me down. Yeah, calm the mind down because I was already calm.
You see, there is only another expression is coming. When I subjectify the thought, it becomes a problem. You simply objectify it. So that object is different from you. You are not an object. And that is what she is saying. Beautiful way. That's good. Thank you. How are you, Barbara?
I'm very good, thank you. The meditation was very deep for me today. There was one point, though, that I felt a lot of pressure in my temples and a lot of warmth at the same time. I'm not quite sure what caused that.
Yeah, the calmness and coolness around in the body, obviously it indicates a deeper state of meditation. And that is going to help us in rising in awareness. That's a beautiful. Sometimes we do not have any thought. It's simply a state of easy flow and experience of that calmness. I don't want to speak more. How are you, Christina?
Thank you. Today I noticed also a pull to thoughts, but then almost an excitement or eagerness to keep hammering the delusion through the practice.
Yeah, that's good.
And noticed just a deep self-absorption.
Yeah. This idea and this thought that let me continue to hammer the delusion, whatever the thought comes. Whatever the thought comes. If you live into that moment in awareness, the delusion goes away. I'll explain you in a bit. Are you ready to share your experiences, Terry? Hi.
I'll try. I mostly focus on the breathing.
Okay.
But I can't. No, I guess it wasn't. Yeah, I know. Forget
Okay.
it.
Calm down. You see, it is the mind expressing and sharing the experiences. Behind the mind, consciousness is one. I may not be able to express, but the consciousness is one. That is what I am. Has to be understood. How are you, Ashok?
Thank you, sir. The flow for the nostrils was equal and good, and I have no question for anything. Thank you.
No question. Flow of the nostril was good. Okay, good. Very good. So one pointer is there that you don't have any resistance. That's why you don't want to say anything. So it is obviously showing the positive aspect of it. How are you, Weber?
Thank you, sir. Sir, I'm good. A lot of thoughts were going in the mind, in the practice. Was at the back. For a fraction of seconds, it was going into sleep also. But my awareness was intact. So I can see that this is happening. This is separated from me. I can come back. So that way, it was very peaceful.
Yes, beautiful. As we are going to change the steps of this practice gradually, you will be able to recognize where you fall into sleep, unconsciousness, or a sense of forgetfulness when you are able to return. And that we can explore in the meditation also. So that we are going to, I'm going to change it slowly. How are you, Sangeeta?
सर बहुत अच्छा था, बहुत पीसफुल था। और सर कई बार दिन में ही अपने आप मंत्र चलता रहता है, तो
Yes, that is very good.
ठीक है।
What she is saying that during the day, her mind repeats the mantra, Om Shanti. So that's really good. So when it repeats the mantra, just become aware, oh, mind, now you are doing something good. Otherwise, the mind has a different mantras. What are mantras? Oh, that guy is crazy, he insulted me, and that guy's this, and my honey did this, I don't love. And it constantly accumulates those impressions, and ultimately it results into a problem. So it's better to do Om Shanti rather than any other mantra. So I know Dennis is attending both the sessions. He's also translating on Tuesday sessions. So I teach totally in that group. I teach totally a different thing based on the group, and here it is definitely totally a different thing. So Dennis might be understanding this. He will share those experiences with his friends before. So yes, last point is that anytime. So what I'm saying, Bhaj Govindam, simply, and then you start giving an interpretation of the Bhaj Govindam this week while doing the practice regularly, and let us move into the next session with higher level of awareness altogether. That is all for today. Thank you, my
Thank you,
friends.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Namaste,
you, everyone.
everyone.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste, everyone.
नमस्ते सर।
Namaste.